go ahead and we're going to hit record on this. So we want to welcome everyone to 2018. I'm going to pin my video here. 2019-2020 school year, the first Striv Zoom session of the year, and we got to get this camera angle figured out. But we want to say thank you for everyone who's joining us live and for everyone that is going to watch this on record. That's the point of Zoom. We really like it. So if you can download the app, it makes it a lot easier when we need to do support or anything like that. Want to give you kind of the rundown of what we're going to do today. First of all, I'm going to go pretty quick through just plugging everything in and setting up the most basic shot that we can do in Wirecast. Wanted to have this available as a resource for new teachers that are at existing Striv schools and for new Striv schools. So if there's a lot of people kind of in a similar boat. So just being able to have that refresher on plugging things in and getting things going, I think will be great. Sara then is going to talk a little bit about some of the education stuff that we've got planned for this year. And then I'm going to wrap things up with a real quick overview of what is in the dashboard, hopefully give you enough information to be able for you guys to be able to log in and start to play around with your dashboard, begin adding events, stuff like that. So that's where we're going to go. Please feel free to stop me at any point, or Sara at any point, ask a question. That's really what we're going to try to get to is questions. So I know we will have some follow-up videos. Ben is working on a really cool Streaming 101 video, which is going to be a whole lot of me plugging in a camera, but it's going to look way cooler because he shot it really well. And if you know Ben, our creative director, he does some really fun stuff. So looking forward to that. So without further ado, we are going to plug things in. So the thing I've already got on my camera is our tripod mount. Now, I know some schools leave that mount on all the time just because it's easier to not have to deal with the plate, especially if you've got the one like this where you need basically a key or a screwdriver to lock it down. We don't usually leave our plates on our video cameras because we are using our tripods for DSLR work that we do for other video projects. So we don't necessarily leave this on all the time, but in this instance we do. I've already got my power cord plugged in here at, no I don't, I have it hooked on the side is what I do though. We usually, whenever we do a game, especially if we know it's going to be more than one game, we don't always trust our batteries. So we always plug in to power when we go to do a game. Lens cap is always a thing to remember. And then, I'll scoot back here a little bit. We go into our tripod. Yeah. And I'll go a little higher too. So the nice thing about the tripods is once you have the plate mount, you can just slide it in. And usually there's a button on the back here to push to release it all the way on. Sometimes it works from the front, sometimes it works from the back. And I don't know why it does either one. But yeah, gotta loosen that up. That's what we gotta do. But eventually it goes on, and then you tighten back down, always on the side. So the point is that your camera is tight to the top. On almost all of the ones, especially the ones that we recommend, this whole entire ball setup, what this is called a ball on top, has a handle on the bottom. You loosen that handle, and then the entire head can be loose. And then there's a bubble on top. And so what you do is you find your bubble, get your bubble in the center of your circle, and you tighten her down. Then you can play with the arm, loosen that arm up, and then that will extend out to get it at the proper angle. Then you can tighten it back down. Then we have, I always think of when I go to plug in the camera, I always think of doing it as a flow of water. So the first thing I do is I turn on my spring, right? So I turn on my water, and then I plug my HDMI in, and then I plug the HDMI into the mini recorder, and then I plug the mini recorder in with Thunderbolt, and I take the other end of the Thunderbolt into the laptop. So I'm connecting in the flow of how everything should go. Sometimes if you get into trouble and you have something plugged in a different order, the video doesn't want to turn on, and you go, what do I do? What do I do? And you end up calling me, and I tell you to unplug everything, close wirecast, plug everything back in this order, and reopen wirecast, and 9 times out of 10, that does it. So once we've got our HDMI plugged in, we're going to take our other end of the HDMI into the HDMI side of the mini recorder. Everybody's got this, right? And then we go lightning bolt side to lightning bolt on, that's going to be hard to see, but I have my lightning bolt symbol on my Thunderbolt cable is up. So that lightning bolt to lightning bolt. And then I can go lightning bolt up again into the laptop. The reason I say be sure to double check your lightning bolt symbol on the mini recorder is we found out that a school was able to plug in the Thunderbolt cable to the mini recorder without actually seemingly damaging anything, which seemed really backwards because it was literally upside down. Then they were confused on why the video wouldn't work. We flipped the cable around and it worked. So please don't do that though. It might damage your cable and I don't want that. So we've got everything plugged in, and our last double check to make sure that the laptop is powering the mini recorder is that we have our white light that comes through next to the plug-in. James uses a marker to make sure it's on top. Labeling stuff for kids is an excellent idea. Or drawing out. In fact, we're working on right now an actual physical diagram that will say HDMI into the camera. And this is the HDMI cord and it goes in the mini recorder, stuff like that. So, yep, labeling stuff for the kids is an excellent idea. The other thing that I have with me today is a USB cord. And it is basically the same thing as a printer cord. So you got your, I don't even know what kind of plug that is, the square-ish plug and your regular USB 2. And that's what plugs the soundboards in. So that's what we have and what we recommend are the Behringer soundboards. These things are awesome. I know Odell's got one now. And I've got a course in the dashboard called broadcast equipment. And in that video, I go over all of the knobs and everything on the soundboard. And that is super helpful. If you still have trouble getting stuff into and out of the soundboard, let me know. But that video, which is in the dashboard, I believe it's under the tutorial section, but it's called broadcast equipment setup. That's the one you want. So this end is going into the back of the soundboard. And of course, our other USB end is going into the laptop. So I know I said I was going to do that quick, and I know it hasn't been quick, but do we have any questions to stop now before we get too much farther into this thing? Everybody's good to go. We're about to see a wonderful shot of downtown Henderson here momentarily. So I'm going to open up, now that I have everything plugged in, now I can open up Wirecast. Oh, I should share my desktop here. All right, you guys are seeing that. You guys should be seeing now Wirecast, right? So I want to show you a little bit of how we do our first shot, and I'm going to delete out. I apologize, I should have done this beforehand. I'm going to delete out a few of these things. From what we did this summer with the 8-man All-Star game that is at Hastings College. We also have our own All-Star basketball game that we do in York every year. So we've got a template that we were working off of from some fun stuff from those things. So I want to start with kind of a fresh look at everything. So we're going to start with our main, and I'm going to move that down to the bottom. So to go over everything again, we have our view up here. We can have both preview and live at the same time, just preview and just live. So I usually tend to work in one layer. As over the years have gone, I've gotten a little better at multiple layers of stuff, but setting up the first thing, it's always good to just do one layer. So when I hit that plus button, I can pull up everything that is available to the laptop as an input. So usually what I do first is I bring my video in, and you can see here that I've got my webcam that it can pull that in as well. Some schools do use a webcam, by the way, to point at the scoreboard in their gym, and they use that camera feed, which is just another USB port on your laptop, to show the scoreboard, and that way you don't have to worry about running the scoreboard. Whoever's running the laptop can worry about maybe doing graphics or stuff like that, or maybe you just have one person that needs to try to run both things, and so they're running camera and the laptop. Well, that secondary camera on the scoreboard can help a lot. But in this case, it's called the mini recorder, of course, that we have plugged in. And I usually like to do both sides when I'm setting up my shot. So here you can see that I've got my video pulling in, and it looks like we're actually zoomed in a little bit. So one thing that I can do, even though my scale is a little different, I can do scale to fit, which is always a good idea to double check that. We have had some schools, for whatever reason, that video pulls in a little bigger, and you can't see everything so you look in your viewfinder, you can't see everything that the screen is seeing. So you hit scale to fit, and now they should be matched up, which they are. So that's in my shot layer properties, and it's important to remember that shot layer properties is kind of a magic bullet for resizing things. I'll show you more about that. But here the layers is where we're predominantly we hang out when we're building our shots. So the first thing I've brought in, obviously, is my mini recorder, and it's also bringing in the sound, because you can tell this is yellow here and this is yellow on my eye. I can actually turn off, if I wanted to, I could turn off what the camera is seeing without actually unplugging it or deleting the entire shot. In the same light, I can also mute. You can see now that the camera is no longer picking up my voice because it is not pulling anything in here. So I muted that. And that's how I mute just that source, not everything in the shot. So if I wanted to add more to that, and I do because I want to add the audio capture, that's where I can do it. Again, I hit the plus button in the same shot, and I can come over here to the codec. And again, I can bring in the built-in microphone from the laptop. I don't really want to do that now. It's recognizing that Zoom has its own audio device. I don't really want to do that. I just want the USB audio codec. I hit add, and now my codec has sound. I don't have a mic or anything plugged in, so it's not going to pick up anything right now. But from here, I have my mini recorder with the sound turned off from the camera, and I have my soundboard only with sound. If I wanted to, I would be fine showing this and having this as my only shot for the night. I'd hit go live so that this is what everyone is seeing and hearing. I'd hit stream, and I'd be ready to go for a game. But I want to add a few more things. So one of those things that I can add, and this gets asked all the time, is the scoreboard. I'm going to cancel out of this real quick and move everybody to that side, because I'm going to pull up Safari now. And I'm going to show you how I would log in to my school's dashboard to pull up the Striv scoreboard. So I'm going to click that school login button for whatever school I'm at, and I'm going to go, because I know their login, I'm going to go to York. And again, I'll come back and do more of an overview of the dashboard after Sara talks. But you can see we've already got, look at these guys. We're ahead of the game with York. Good job, Dukes. But you can see they've already got some events pulled in here. And we're going to open up the scoreboard real quick. This tutorial right down here at the bottom, if you get stuck, this is a great tutorial that will work for you. I'm going to open this up for now, though. And if you've already got events pulled in, that's the cool thing about this, is that your events, if you let it pull in, will actually autofill this. Let's just make them play Aurora for now, because they're school 1A and 1B for us. The design, you can have the logo, which is this wide one that sits all the way across the bottom of your screen or the top. The other cool one is this stack. I'm going to do stack for now because I want more people to see this thing. Select your sports, get you in football. And this is where if you know that your halftime is going to be a little longer, you can adjust your halftime clock here. Don't worry about overtime. We still need to take that out, but it works okay for football without doing anything to it. Then you hit your start event, and that's what the scoreboard looks like. So now that I've done that in Safari, I can resize this window all the way down here. I can click back into Wirecast, and now I can add another layer to my shot. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a screen capture. And I'm going to do this time, I'm going to do a new screen capture. If you do it right, though, using the same screen capture will work just fine for you as you go through a year. You don't need to necessarily need to add a new one every single time you're doing a game. But you can see here on my preview, the first thing it does, well, it pulls everything in. So I'm selected on my screen capture. I'm going to come over here to properties, and this is where I set up what it's going to capture. So I change it from monitor to window because I don't want it to capture everything. I want it to capture something specific in a window, right? I don't want to see the cursor. Don't need to do anything about audio. Then I can come to configure, and this is all of the windows that are open, right? Because we're telling Wirecast to look at a specific window. Now we have to tell it which specific window to look at. So we're going to take Safari, the scoreboard app, because that's what's running in Safari. That's what's open. I hit OK, and now I pull in the scoreboard app. But you can see, boy, that is huge again. So we go back to our scaling, and we scale down a little bit. And then we come down. Well, we don't want to see all of this entire window, right? So that's where I can crop. And I can crop from the left and from the right and a little off the top and just a few off the bottom. And now I have a scoreboard that sure looks pretty good to me. And I could throw this down in the corner. I can throw this wherever. If I wanted to center it right in the middle for whatever reason, I have these yellow guidelines that will help me center it. Or if I, like I said, if I want to throw it up in the corner, I can do that. That's usually what I would recommend. But again, you'll see over here, if I go live, my scoreboard isn't there because I have not taken that shot live. I've done all of that editing, but I haven't taken all of that editing to the live side. As soon as I hit my transition arrow, now my scoreboard is in. And a reminder that to run the scoreboard is running on the down arrows. Down arrow to start and stop the clock. Left arrow runs the home team. Right arrow runs the away team, which in this case is top and bottom. There is nothing better as far as practicing that scoreboard than doing it under duress. I worked at Striv for 1.5 years before I had to get the scoreboard in. It was before a basketball game, and I was working with kids that had never got the scoreboard in at all. And I had watched it done many times. I'd never actually done it. I tell you what, you put kids under fire and put them under duress and see how they handle that. Getting the scoreboard in becomes, and it's a lot easier now than it used to be. So if you're like James, you know what Wirecast 6 used to look like. This is a lot easier than 6. From there, you're pretty much ready to go. You can sure add shots that would do different things. One of the nice things that I like to do, especially if I'm using the scoreboard, is I will duplicate a shot, and then I will edit this shot. By the way, I can edit by just double-clicking it. So let's say instead of on this secondary shot, I don't want the audio, but maybe I want a media file that is an MP3. So maybe I've found some really good free music that does not have copyright on it. That's very important. And where's my MP3? It's not going anywhere. So let's go to my desktop. This is also something that I recommend, is setting up a folder on your desktop. Oh, I deleted it. Let's do this. Setting up a folder on your desktop that has all of the files you're going to use in Wirecast in it, so that when Wirecast goes to look for files, it's always looking in the same folder. If you move stuff out of that folder, Wirecast is going to go, oh, I don't know where to look, and it's going to give you an error. So I do have an MP3 in this folder in particular. So now I have got, over the course of time here, I will have an MP3 in this shot. And so what it will do eventually is it will pull in that audio from the MP3 as a layer. Now I've got a song that can loop over and over. Let's take a listen to this. So it's a cool jam. I like it. So this is what my shot could be if I was pregame or halftime and I don't have anybody announcing anything, just taking a break. I could still see the camera. I could still see what's going on with the camera. I could see the scoreboard. I could see everything I need to see. But instead of hearing all of those conversations around the camera, now I'm listening to an MP3, so that somebody listening and watching at home goes, oh, they have music playing, nobody's talking, I'm not missing anything. When you completely mute a stream at any point, keep in mind that your viewers, like, nobody actually watches TV muted, right? For whatever reason. And so that's something to keep in mind. Nobody likes to watch a stream with with no sound whatsoever. So giving somebody at least a little bit of sound is a big deal. I did not make that quick. I do apologize for that. But if there are any questions on plugging in the camera or setting up an initial shot, an easy shot, if you will, in Wirecast, I'd be happy to take those questions. Justin, were you guys talking? I think I just unmuted you.
Yeah, we were just talking amongst ourselves to figure out what we needed here.
I got you.
So, Eric, on that, you said when you put the MP3 audio like that, is that how you do your commercials also? Do you just create a second shot and then click into that?
Yep. So that's a great question here. So I can add another media file, and these are NFHS old ones from an old folder. But here is a pre-produced video that is already done. So I leave that folder usually on my desktop, and I label it Wirecast or Wirecast files, so that I can drag everything in there. Then once the file is there, then I go to Wirecast and I tell it to look into that folder, which is what I'm doing right here. So I can bring in this video, and it's being a little slow today, even though I just restarted. It will now bring that video in as a secondary shot. And yeah, it's real easy to click on the shot, hit your space bar, it goes and plays that video. When the video is over, you can tell it to hold, which is going to freeze the last frame of the video. This is what you can do. When finished, you can tell it to remove, so it will go to black. You could tell it to hold, which is going to freeze on the last frame, or you could tell it to loop, which means it's going to go back and start again from the beginning. So what I do is I go to my music. I click on my music shot, and I loop that usually, so that when I play the music, it'll just restart itself. But for a video, I do remove. That way I know that when the video is over, in this case, so let's say I have a commercial. That commercial reaches the end of its time. And see, they never size right. That's why I don't like playing these. But at the end of its countdown, it will go to a black screen. And so whoever's running Wirecast, they play in this video. And let's say we have announcers. They need to be in communication with our announcer that, hey, we've got 10 seconds left, right? And then you got to be clicked on the next shot. We're going to come back to the live shot in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so you saw that for a split second, it started to cut to the question mark, which means it didn't have anything to go to, right? Because right away it removed it. Then it transitioned to the shot that I'd clicked on. which was our main shot here. By the way, you can relabel what these shots say down here by clicking the shot, going up to name and going, I like to do main. And then if I've got music in this one, I like to call it music. And then I can do that. So I can rename those shots so they become even easier to see. And also, if I'm dealing with just one layer of stuff, I can actually make these icons a little bit bigger or smaller if I wanted to. Like I can make them really big. I don't want them that big usually. But this can be nice if I only have 3 or 4 shots that I'm dealing with. That could be fun. Good
So
question.
if you have multiple commercials, you just create multiple layers and just click on them one after another.
Yep. So I'd bring in one, and then I'd just click right next to it, and I'd go back to my media file, and here's another one, right? So then I'd bring that one in. And then if I got another one, I go to media file, and I bring that one in.
Okay. And on your MP3 one, can you have more than one track playing, or is it only one track available at a time?
It will only do one at a time. What we do when we have some games, though, especially if we're streaming like an all-day thing, instead of just having the same song playing over and over, we'll have 3 or 4 MP3s up here at the top, and then we control which one is playing by muting 3 of them and leaving 1 to play. And then we watch our countdown. When the countdown gets done, we just click the next song and unmute that and mute the previous one, basically. That kind of takes the pressure off of making sure, oh, the song is over, I have to switch it to another one, or I have to have a full playlist on Spotify or something all pulled up. Cool?
Yeah.
All right. I've talked for a lot, so I'm going to stop sharing and let Sarah talk at you for a minute.
Okay. And then did you still want to do some dashboards?
I'll come back to dashboard.
And then if there's individual questions. Okay, so I just wanted to go over a few things about like the Striv community and how to stay connected with us, as well as other teachers. So first off, the Facebook group, I just checked. I think all of you are in there except you, Justin. Do you have Facebook? Oh, hold on, let me unmute you.
All right. Yes.
You do? Okay. Well, I'll take a better look at that after this, and I'll get you added. But pretty much it's where we advertise things. You'll also find the same stuff on our social media, especially Twitter. So we have Striv TV. The tag name is just @Striv TV. It's kind of our general stuff. We repost a lot of Striv TV use. So that separate Twitter account has a lot of stuff about students and conferences, webinars like today. So they kind of go back and forth. You'll see stuff shared on both of them, but definitely follow those. Like I said, @Striv TV, @Striv TVU, and then @Striv Sports. It's just all of our sports stuff. So some like live scoring when it comes like championship time for basketball, volleyball, football. You'll see a lot of updates there. So get connected on Twitter if you have it. And if your school has an account, I definitely suggest having a Twitter account. Follow us, and hashtags. We use hashtag Striv Schools. If you ever want to search that, and Striv U Academy is also pretty popular, and NEB Preps for more sports stuff. Yeah.
NEB Preps for sports, yeah.
For sports stuff. So anyway, check that out. The same goes for Instagram. It's just more pictures. Like I said, Twitter's probably the main one, but you can check us out on Instagram as well. And we also have a Facebook page. So that isn't the private one. That was a lot. But Justin, I'll get you added to the private Striv Schools Facebook page.
The private one's a group.
Right.
That's a locked group. So it's only by invite you get into the Striv group.
Right.
But once you're in there, then it's a lot more. It's just another chance to connect with other people.
We try to like hit you on, email, social media, you'll find it. And then if you're in the private group, we'll also post in there. And then as well as Slack. I saw that Deb and a lot of you guys just joined us, sent you an invite to that. So The Strive use Slack is just a way to like connect with people. You can do like instant messaging. So you'll see there's a general channel, and there's a lot of teachers talking in there. There's also an equipment channel. People posting about, hey, I just got this update, or I know Marcus was selling a few things, Marcus at Johnson County Central. So just another place to stay connected. But you can also instant message one of us. So we use Slack here every single day at our office. So we are quick to respond there, especially if it's a Friday night or something. Hop on Slack. So you can get that on your phone, and you can also get it on your desktop or your laptop. I also shared Strive resources and the Strive Essentials Google Doc with you. Pretty much with these, it's kind of just we have our social media on there again, some tutorials that we've done over the years. So we have it into streaming, and then our education. And then we've linked like our podcasts and recommended equipment. So all of that stuff you will find either in your dashboard, you can find on our website. Hopefully this is kind of like a one-stop shop for you. And then also with Strive Essentials, this was actually put together by Jeremy Fries, who is at Seward now. Just things he's learned over the years, and just started piling it into this document. So I want to share that with you, and you, I believe, have access to edit that. I'll double check that. So if you have ideas, like there's ideas for Strive or classroom projects, add to that. Share those ideas. That would be great, to just stay connected. And like I said, there's lots of platforms to do it. And like, of course, we want your feedback as well. If you think Slack's working better than Facebook, or, you know, you don't want to be a part of one, like we'd love to know like what you think of those groups, because we best want to like serve the community as well. As far as education stuff goes, we'll be doing a fall conference in the fall. We don't have a specific in the fall. Imagine that. We don't have a specific date yet, but that will be coming out soon. Kind of want to do like an ed camp feel, so you can maybe choose an area where you want to learn more, or we might even have teachers present. Deb, I was really impressed with Megan at NITA. She brought up AJ, who is one of our academy students, and they talked about video production. Oh, sorry, I won't hit the table. And so that kind of gave me an idea to do something like that at a Strive conference. So I'll keep you guys updated, but we would love to have you guys share what you know, things you're learning, and have people come to that in LinkedIn or maybe a few other locations. So I'll keep you updated about that. Our Strive U Academy is just like a growing community of students. It's separate than just your regular digital media class. We want the kids to be a little experienced in one of the areas of videography, photography, writing, or audio, so broadcasting. So I sent an email about that. I'm sure you got that. Like I said, if you have kids who are pretty experienced and maybe you want to do that in the future, let me know. We can connect, or you can forward that email that I sent you. It's also on our social media. You'll find it there too. And then I think finally we are just working on where we're going to be traveling this year, to go visit your classroom and to come say hi. So we're mapping that out, and we'll get in contact with you about that. So did I forget anything?
As far as the visiting the classroom, one thing that is pretty helpful for Sarah and I will be to know that if you have a class, what time of day it is. If it works with the schedule of other schools that are close to you, that we can hit the time to be in your class for a day, that's ideal. But we can sure, if it worked, the day that it works, the time doesn't work, we'll kind of adjust as best we can. But if as we get to starting to schedule those things, and we've got over 100 schools, so we got a lot to schedule. So the more we know about when and where we can be, the more sane we will both be at the end of September for all of this. Questions for Sarah, education-wise? I can't even see everyone that's in this thing right now. Okay, so I will go back over then the do a real quick overview here of the dashboard. Too big. History size. So I said, good job on the Dukes. This is what the main page looks like, and it looks like they've already got some stuff scheduled. So as a reminder for events, do you have to schedule an event for your stream to work? No. Is it incredibly helpful for people that like to click on this schedule page on Striv TV? Yes, it is incredibly helpful for people because as you can see, today's the 5th and there's nothing coming up. But if we angle over here to what's our first Friday night, the 30th, we'll see. I know York, yeah. So York, Lincoln Christian, good job on you guys as well. So they've already got theirs pulled in. What is super nice is that on any given night during the school year, you can click on this events or the schedule page, and Friday night football, there'll be 35 football games listed on here, and hopefully more this year with more schools. So really cool to put all of those in, and you can do that right here on the events tab. You can add an event, you can post a score, you can post an update. Adding an event, you can see that they did all of this already. That they've already come through. They've got some volleyball, looks like here, although it's Douglas County, not country. We'll fix that later. They've got softball, all sorts of stuff. I'll let you take a look at this. Everything's pretty self-explanatory. One thing I do want to say is that when you get to the opponents and you start typing in a school, it is important to not click the autofill here, but click one of these down here. Click your orange school. That will make sure that when you come back here to the channel, it will make sure that the right logo pulls in. If you don't have the right school pulled in, or you just did like the autofill of the school, then their logo won't show up and it doesn't look quite as clean. But as far as doing the events and the dates, all pretty easy there. You can do a bulk upload. For the schools like York that knows what they're going to be doing well ahead of time, and like I said, good on them. You can actually download a file for Excel, for Windows, numbers for Mac, and it's just got all of the headings, basically all of these, event title, gender, activity, event level, all of that are just headings at the top of what looks like a spreadsheet, right? Then you save that spreadsheet as a CSV file, and then you upload that file again into the dashboard. So that becomes a real easy way to get a bunch of stuff. Look at this. We've got the entire school year for York put in all the way through basketball in February. So one thing that I would say as I look at them, when you get to basketball or you get to a night where you've got 2 events going, like a girls and boys doubleheader of basketball, go ahead and make both of those a separate event. So put the girls at 6 o'clock tip off and put the guys at 7:45 or 8, whatever you guys normally have on your schedule. And it will show up as 2 different events. That's pretty helpful when you're looking at all those things. I already showed you the scoreboard and the tutorial for that right here at the top. Videos, this is where you can upload your recordings of videos. And you can drag them in. You got your desktop open over here on the side. Just drag it in there. As long as the file size is under 2 gigs, you shouldn't have any trouble. If your file size is more than 2 gigs, let me know. We might try running it through like iMovie or Final Cut, something like that, and compressing it a little bit. The other option is if you email me like a Dropbox link or a Google Drive link, I can actually upload it in the back end on our end. If it's for sure something that we absolutely have to have as far as a video on your channel. But as long as they're under 2 gigs, you guys shouldn't have any trouble getting those uploaded. Managing the uploads, this is where you can edit thumbnail or the title, a description, and all of that. You can get in there. I don't want to delete, so I'm just going to click out of there. So if I wanted to rename something, or if I did want to delete something, I can do it from in here. And analytics on videos, I could see who was clicking on my channel page, so who was clicking on my channel, and I can see where they're using desktop, mobile, or tablet. And you'll see that mobile and tablet are going to dominate for most part. And then you can also see, are they using Android, Chrome, iOS, Mac, PlayStation 4, stuff like that. That can be pretty fun. I have a chat that just popped up, so let's see if I can look at that. Most schools leaving the recordings on the site, removing them right away so other teams can't get free footage. Melissa, great question. If you leave videos on your channel, do other teams get free footage? Other teams probably also have Huddle, which is the not live version of what we're doing, right? So if your coach is okay with Huddle, but is not okay with leaving videos on your Striv channel, I'll talk to your coach, because that's a very backwards way of doing things. They are your videos, though, to do with as you wish. Yeah, those videos are the schools. You will have that original file no matter what, even if it's not on your channel. So if you want to upload it right away, or you want to wait 2 weeks to upload, or you want to wait till after the season is over to upload, you can do anything you want to do there. But that is totally up to you guys. The support tab is something I want to talk about. On game night, something's going wrong, something's not working right. This phone number right here is one that anybody can call or text. You're probably going to get me, or you're going to get Jacob or Brian. They work at Apt Interactive and are some guys that actually help us with support on game nights. And we're going to get to you as fast as we possibly can to make sure that your stream is going as fast as we possibly can. And that really is for game night, is to use that number. If you have a during the day question, kind of a general, hey, we tried this the other night and we got it to work, but was this the right workaround? You can go ahead and fill this form out. Let us know, you're on a PC, you're on a laptop, Mac, whatever, and what school, and we'll get back to you. But again, the big thing is during a game or right before a game, something's going on that you guys can't figure out, call or text that number, and we'll make sure and get you squared away. Under the education tab is the, did I get it on? Oh, not a check. Set it up. Oh, yes, set it up in Wirecast to auto record. Thank you, James. Yes, you can. Let me go back to videos, and I believe it's under manage. So one thing that you can do is turn on auto archiving. And what this does is when you set up a time in your event, let's say football is going to kick off at 7 o'clock, and you set up 7 o'clock. So what this auto archiving does is it recognizes that at 7 p.m. on Friday night, you said you were going to stream, and yes, there is a stream going through. It will auto archive that file until you hit stop record or stop stream. It will auto archive it, and it will be a file here in your video manager. Now it's going to show up as like mystream_01 or mystream10 or something like that until you come in to the manage on your desktop, on your dashboard, edit the title, edit the score, whatever, and then publish it. If you don't publish it within a week, you will get an email saying you have videos that need action. You can delete them, you can do whatever. But yes, you can record to the dashboard. I would also recommend recording to the hard drive of your laptop. So you got a little redundancy there, but yeah, the auto archiving is nice to just send it straight to your dashboard, basically. It's a little bit like Huddle in that way. If you got the iPad, you can record it straight to the app, right? That's kind of what we're doing here. So good question, James. Yes, you can. Feel free to turn that on. Just as a backup, though, I would still recommend recording it in Wirecast. Let me show you that. And that's just right up here at the top. So we hit stream and record there at the same time. Good question. Academy, this is launching again
Ooh,
Or-
yeah, we need to update
We
that.
need to actually, we have it. We just need to make it live apparently on the site. All the updates in the form for this year's Striv Academy. The blog is pretty cool, and we've got the ability to search stuff now. So this is very cool. So we've got equipment. There it is. Striv blog. You want photography? You want look at all of these beautiful things Christian did for us. This is so cool. Another chat. Can we download from the dashboard for an actual media file? How do you then upload that to Huddle? Yes, Melissa. Can you download the file from the dashboard to be an actual video file? That is a good question. That might be one for Christian there. If I edit, what do I?
But before they upload it, they could, put it into Huddle or whatever. Like if they have the same.
Right. Well, yeah. I guess Melissa, that's my point of making sure that you also record in Wirecast, so that you will still have that video file. Yes, James. That's the better workaround if you're using Huddle. I know Marcus does that with his kids. They have each coach is responsible for getting the SD card to the Striv kids, and then it's the Striv kids' responsibility to get it back to the coach so that they can upload that to Huddle. Yep. And Melissa, if you got any question, plus 100 there for 100 clips. Yeah, football gets messy. It's not as messy for basketball because you're talking about, it's kind of okay if it's one file, but Huddle does a lot of extra work. So I'm going to say no to the idea of if you auto archive a file, can you download it? But we will ask. Maybe we should make that note if you haven't already, to see if that's something we should be able to put into that. And then tutorials as well down here. Again, you can search a whole bunch of different things, videos. You want to see what's labeled a tutorial or a webinar. A lot of good stuff. If you got a question about something, using that search bar right there, which is brand new, and I'm very excited about it. We'll jump down here to settings. If your school, and I have a lot of them in already, but especially if you're a new school, I might not have everybody's Facebook page or Instagram or Twitter, something like that, all pulled in. But here is where you can put all of those in for your school. York actually runs what shows up on their school dashboard, or what shows up on their channel is actually their media production class. So they have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. They also have a YouTube, so they can pull up that's where they upload their videos instead of their channel. They actually upload them to YouTube, which is perfectly fine. And you can actually put that YouTube channel ID. We can filter that into there as well. Cover photo. Everybody starts with this gray backdrop, but if you want a cooler looking cover photo for your channel, for instance, I don't know who did this for Adam Central, but I was kind of show it as the example. Yeah, and of course today's the day when everything's nice and slow going. Then you get this, kind of cool red, white, and blue. So they did that as a file, and it shows you that here's your dimensions on how to get that in there. Upcoming game widget. If you want to have a cool looking Striv branded schedule widget on your school website, we have a vertical one and a horizontal one. And it's just your school's uploaded, or just the scheduled events for your school. So it doesn't pull them all up, it just pulls up your school. And I have another chat. We can edit the page to add our sponsors. Can you edit the page? You cannot, James, as far as sponsors, but I think we do have room for a sponsor on a channel page if you would like. If you sell that to a business and say, yep, we can have a spot. I think we have one spot available, and so work with us on that. Let me know, and we will try to get you squared away on that. But we do have what James is referring to here is these ads over here on the side. So we have Truck Center, and we have a Cornerstone Bank one. We have Region 5 as well for some of these. So we do have some space that we could give to one of your sponsors. So just let me know on that, and we will. And yeah, if you want to click on dusters.org, let me do that. Let's see what here's the vertical widget over here. So upcoming events. James is on the ball. He's got the schedule in already. Holdridge at Holdridge there on the 22nd. That'll be a barn burner, I'm sure. And that's probably a good point there. Practicing your stream setup and stream stuff during a scrimmage is a great way to practice, especially to get things going at the beginning of the year. Oh, no, sorry, the school's not. Of course it's not doing that. Stream config, you guys shouldn't need this on a regular basis, but if by chance we need to rebuild you a template, we have that stuff built in your dashboard so that we can copy and paste it over basically pretty quick. Email notifications, this is where, let me get rid of this, sorry. This is where you can set up the email address that will get the notifications for the auto archiving videos. Pretty easy to do there. Quick link to the recommended equipment. So if you're in the market for a new camera or cords, or you're ready to add a soundboard and some announcer setup, the quick link is right there. And some school logos for you guys to download if you're doing graphic work. All of that is in there as well. If there is a school logo that is not in there and you really would like a nice one, just let me know. I got the hookup. Had some great questions, and I will stop sharing for now to see if there are other questions.
Yeah, I know Deb said she had 3 icons on her desktop for wirecast, so I wanted to make sure she removed the ones that she does not need.
Yeah, Deb, we can do that later if you want when we're done with this. Just a matter of making sure we got the one with the right output settings.
Okay.
Not a big deal.
We talked a little bit about playing commercials.
Yep.
But playing music from phone through a mixer board.
Right.
Something like that.
Right. So let me get what I was going to show you guys. So if you've been doing this for a while, you can end up with a rat's nest of cables like this. I wouldn't recommend it because then you can't find anything. No, put me back. What was that? All right. So this could be a solution. Right, so I have a cord that on one end is our standard 3.5 millimeter jack that would go into the headphone jack on a phone if you have a phone with a headphone jack. If not, you might need an adapter and one of these things, so you got to do this. So that into the phone, and then this would actually go into a line on your soundboard. So it would go, instead of an XLR, it would go right underneath that as the line input, that 1/4 inch input. Excuse me. That could be a way to get audio in. I am more of a fan of building it into Wirecast because my brain works better like that than having an external audio source. Because inevitably then what happens is I forget to stop that audio source, or I forget to change off of it. And then I have music playing when I should be talking, or I am talking and nobody can hear it because I still have the music playing. So that's how my brain works. But I've been told that's not how everybody else's brain works. So feel free to do with that information as you want. But getting the right cable, and this one might do it. The regular headphone jack on one end and a 1/4 inch jack or plug on the other. Could work. Cool.
Yeah, that's about it.
And Damien was new, but Damien got in here. So, Damien, any questions on your end besides starting from the beginning? Let's unmute you there.
Can you hear me all right?
Now I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, I was just having a little problem with my Wi-Fi. I think with all the tutorials and stuff, I should be good. I also have the last Striv coordinator's cell phone number, so worst case scenario, she left me some good notes. But other than that, I was able to pretty much keep up with you guys. So
Cool. Well, that was the point of all this. So
Yeah, and Damien, I can email you this video afterwards since we recorded it if you didn't get help it. Yeah, leaning all the way this way.
okay, that'd be awesome actually if you could send that from the beginning.
Yep.
I only missed about the first 5 or so minutes, but
about the first 5 minutes was how to plug the camera in, and
yeah.
So that's
Yep, we can do that.
that will be good.
And a reminder, if you still have questions this week, or Damien, especially after you watch it, you can still sign up on that form. Or if you guys know right now, like, I want to talk again, I can schedule you for a time. But if you don't, feel free to email me and we can figure that out.
All right, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
You bet. And whether you're watching this live or you watch the replay here yet Monday afternoon, this week we're trying to get ahead of what we know is going to be an avalanche of questions in the next couple weeks as everybody gets back into school. So if there's anything that we can do this week to help you as either an existing teacher or a new teacher to strive for any of this, to get you a little bit ahead of the curve, we'd love to try to do as much as we can this week, because we know it's going to get crazy for everybody starting next week, right? Most people are going to be in school by at least the middle part of next week. So if we can do it this week, we'd love to do it. I have purposely tried to block out basically all week except for Friday morning to be available to talk to anybody. So let's chat. Let's do this week. Getting events into the dashboard.
Oh,
yeah. It's
That's a classic first week of August.
Yeah, first week of August. We can't say enough to schedule your events. And again, will your stream still go out even if you haven't scheduled it? Yes. But boy, does it help that other people will know. A lot of people don't rely on social media to see when a school is streaming. They just go to the schedule page on Striv TV to see if you're streaming it. And if you don't put it on there, then they're like, oh, I guess the concert's not on tonight. Or I guess the football game isn't on tonight. And then they don't watch, when in fact it actually does happen. So again, not required, but highly, highly encouraged. And if you need more help with doing the bulk upload or just how to do week by week a little faster, like I said, hit us up and we'll get you squared away.
We ran into that a lot at this last year during basketball. As being a visiting school, would look on their webpage, whatever, nothing was posted about it being on Striv, and then you'd get to the game and boom, there it is, and they were recording. So it's just so nice that that home school has that, so that because we would just go to their website and pull that stuff off, that information off, or go to the Striv website and get it. So
yep,
it's really nice if they do that.
Yep. And nothing wrong with if you are going to be on the road for your next game and you check the schedule and yep, York is hosting your game and they've already got it on the schedule that they're going to stream it. Absolutely feel free to share York's channel link on your own school's social media. That really helps both directions, helps everybody know where they can watch if they can't make it. So I know, especially, we got a lot of getting more schools all the time out in Western Nebraska. And I know, Melissa, we saw you guys there in June with the travel being what it is. It's a big thing. It's a good thing. So knowing what your options are ahead of time is a great thing. Cool.
Right.
Thoughts, questions, or took an hour to get all of them. Did you go through the entire school year, James? Yeah. So, so you can take an hour and do the entire school year, or you can, take 10 minutes every month and just look at your calendar for the next 4 weeks kind of thing and just stay ahead of the game that way. So,
And also a great project for a student if you have a class.
yep,
So
that's a big one too. And then another thing to remember is to check that. So if you're using the bulk upload, one thing to check each week is to make sure that your logo's pulled in for your opponents. Sometimes you don't get it. There isn't the autofill on the on the CSV file. So what you got to do is once you upload that again, like every week I would just check, okay, we have a home game on Friday and volleyball on Tuesday, just to double check that those are showing up correctly on the schedule page. You can edit those real quick in the dashboard and just to make sure that your teams pull in correctly and the logos pull in right. Cool. I know there's a lot of information, especially if you're new. It can be a little overwhelming. Just reassurance that we do this for a living, so it's not as overwhelming for us. So if you have questions, please feel free to reach out. And especially using, like Sara said, if you use Slack, is a great way to ask a question. And even if by chance Sara and I are both on the road, there's probably a good chance that maybe James is in there and he can answer the question because he's already had it come up, or Marcus can. Marcus, I'm not sure if Marcus actually works during the day because he's usually on Slack almost as much as we are. And I say that kiddingly. But, a lot of good resources to be able to ask fellow teachers how they do things too.
great teachers, great people for sure.
Mhm.
So. All right.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess we'll stop this thing. And Deb, if you want to stay on, I can real quick take a look at your desktop if you got it. If you're on the right one.
Yep.
Okay. I'll take a look at that. Otherwise, I will stop this recording.